Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be showing you how to make this baby coat, hoodie, jacket, whatever you like to call. We will be able to do sizes 0 to 12 months, so there's 4 sizes in between, and I will have a size chart that you can follow to make the size that you need. Okay, so the stitches that we are going to use, so you should be familiar with front post and back post double crochets. This is what makes up the main stitch right here. It kind of looks like an alpine stitch or a weave stitch, okay, once it's crocheted. And we have herringbone half double crochets here in front. If you find them difficult, you can always change them into normal half double crochets. So this is a size 3 to 6 months, and it is in one color. Now, to make it a little bit more fun, you can have a few colors like this one right here that I have. So I used up some of my leftovers. I had skeins like that were already started, so I just made as much as I can in each color. So this is 9 to 12 months, a much bigger, as you can see, nice big soft hood. And I have 2 more. Now I have used up some of my smaller leftovers, as you can see right here. So I had little things like that, and I just used up as much as I can, and this is a size 0 to 3 months. Now if you're going to do colors, just make sure you have enough. I had no plan making these. I just took and I tried to make as many rows as I can with the leftovers that I have. So 0 to 3 months, and I have another one with a little leftover. So this one for a girl, again exactly the same. I just used up what I had, 0 to 3 months. Just like that. Okay, so if you got interested, let's go and have a look of what we are going to need for this project. Okay, so to make this little coat, you're going to need scissors, a needle, just for the tails, 6 stitch markers. We will eventually use only 4, but have 6 for the beginning, just until you get used to it. Okay, then we need 4 buttons, anything that you want. I have some wooden buttons on my other cardigans. This one is, it looks metal, it sounds more like plastic, but you need 4 of them, and you want them sort of at least 20 millimeters wide, so 2 centimeters. I have others are 2.5, because the buttonholes will look small, but they will actually be very stretchy, so you want to have them slightly bigger. Okay, I think it's gonna look really cute. So 4 buttons, then a measuring tape. So my chart for the sizes that we're going to use is in centimeters right here. Now, I often get asked to use inches in my videos. Now, the problem with that is I'm not used to using inches. This is the metric system, centimeters and meters, that I'm used to. Now, what you can do, if you are not comfortable with centimeters, you can just convert centimeters into inches. You can do that on Google, or some measuring tapes, like this one, has inches on the other side. Okay, like this. So let's say 10.5 centimeters. Would find it here, and then you can, if you look to the other side, it's just over 4 inches. Okay, if that makes it easier for you, but I'm using centimeters. Then the hook. So I'm going to be using a 4.5 millimeter hook. You can use 5. Start your project with a 4.5, and then see how soft it is. Okay, sometimes I use a 5 if it doesn't feel soft enough, because that stitch can actually be quite dense. So that's why I am using a bigger hook than I normally would use for this yarn. So 4.5 or even a 5 if you will feel that it's a little dense, the stitch. Okay, next, the yarn. So I will be using, I love this yarn. We love this yarn. This is from Hobbii, classic acrylic yarn. There's approximately 150 meters in 50-gram skein. You don't have to use this yarn. Use any kind of DK or what weight? It is lightweight 3 yarn. Okay, so use anything that you have similar to this. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. You just might might be a little bit, might need a little bit more or less than I do, depending on how thick the yarn is, okay? Even the same weight yarns in different brands can be a little bit thicker or thinner, okay? I think this one is a little bit on the thinner side. So, like I said, this is a lightweight number 3 yarn, 100% acrylic, approximately 150 meters in 50 grams. And now how much yarn we're going to need. So the cardigans that the little jackets that I have made so far. So for 0 to 3 months, I needed just a little bit under 200 grams. Okay, so 200 grams of yarn, approximately there. For 3 to 6 and 6 to 9 months, you're going to need approximately 250 grams. Approximately there. And for 9 to 12 months, the biggest one that I have made, I ended up using approximately 270 grams. Now, if you're a little bit, you know, at the time when you are making sleeves, let me just quickly show you. You can always save up some yarn if you do this part a little bit shorter, or you can just leave it out, so you will be saving some yarn, okay? It is a nice little finishing touch for the sleeves, but if you run out of yarn, you can always leave that off and just have the full length, just normal, okay? We just finish here, and this is how much yarn you could save. Now, if you are short, okay? So now when we know what we are going to need, let's go on and start on the little coat. Okay, so to start, grab your hook. We have the chart right here. Have your yarn ready and your stitch markers nearby. Okay, so first of all, now these kind of things scare some of my viewers. I will show you exactly what to do where, so you can see the numbers that you will be following depending on what size you're making. If you're making the 2 smaller sizes, 0 to 3 or 3 to 6 months, you will be looking at the numbers on this chart, on the top one with 68 chains. Now, if you're making the either of the 2 bigger sizes, you're gonna chain 78, and you will be looking at the numbers around this square. They are quite similar, but as you can see, some of the numbers are smaller just because we need a smaller start for the smaller sizes, okay? So decide which size you're making. I will be making a size 6 to 9 months. So I will be using this chart, so 6 to 9, 9 to 12 months, this one, a little bit bigger, and I will be looking at the numbers right here as I go, whatever I need there. Okay, so once you decided what size you're making, you're gonna start chaining. Now I need 78 chains for the size that I'm making. So make a slip knot and chain 78 or 68. Okay, I need 78 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I will keep going until I have 78 chains. Okay, so I have chained 78. Now we are going to start. Now this is the same for both sides. So we start with 14 herringbone half double crochets, and we end with 14 herringbone half double crochets. Both are exactly the same. This is this part right here, 14. Now herringbone half double crochets are a little bit different from usual half double crochets. They are a little bit trickier to make, but they are much softer and they are kind of thinner. So you kind of want that for the roll back right here. Okay, so you want this to be soft. Now, if you find that herringbone half double crochets are difficult to make, you can just do half double crochets, just normal ones. It will be a little bit thicker, but it will do the job, okay? But I will be using herringbone half double crochets. So, we start with, so you want to yarn over, you want to skip 2 chains, so chain 1, chain 2, into the 3rd chain, we are going to start with our first herringbone half double crochet. So yarn over, go into the chain, into the 3rd chain, grab your yarn and pull it out. You have 3 loops on your hook. Now you want to take that first loop that is near the end of the hook and pull it through the second loop on the hook. Then yarn over and pull through the 2 last loops. And this is a herringbone half double crochet. Now we have a chain 2 in the beginning and the herringbone half double crochet. We count that as 2. We need 14 in total. I have 2. So into the next chain, I'm going to yarn over, into the next chain, grab my yarn and pull it out. I have 3 loops on my hook. Again, the first loop goes under the second loop, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. I have 3. Yarn over into the next chain, pull it out, first loop under the second loop, yarn over, pull through the last 2. That's 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Just like that. Okay, now I'm going to take my stitch marker and I'm going to mark the stitch from the last half double crochet, or the herringbone half double crochet. It's just, it will be in the first few rows, it will be difficult to distinguish where these 14 start and finish. That's why I just have it for the beginning until we establish our the rest of our stitches. Okay, now to continue, you have this little number right here. You have 1 or you have 3, depending on which one you are making. If you have 1, you just make 1 double crochet into the next chain. If you have 3, you make 3 double crochets, 1 into each chain. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So I have 3 into the next chain, 1 double crochet. Into the next one, 1 double crochet, that's 2. And 1 more. 3 double crochets, just like that. So as you can see, it's kind of difficult to distinguish them. Now next, after that, we have our first corner. Into the next chain, we make 3 double crochets. 1 double crochet, second double crochet, and third double crochet. Now get a stitch marker and mark stitch number 2 from the hook. So this is stitch number 1 and 2. Into that second stitch marker. Now we will continue the side, either 9 double crochets or 11. Now I'm making this, so I have 11 double crochets. 1 double crochet into each chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 double crochets. You don't count any of those 3 from the corner. You just count from the next chain after you make the increase in the corner. So I have 11. Now it's our second corner. Into the next chain we make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Stitch marker into the second stitch from the hook. So 1, 2. Now we have the back right here, so 15 double crochets or 17. I have 17. Starting from the next chain, I start counting. 1, 2, 3, and keep going until you have this number at the back. Made my 17 double crochets at the back, third corner into the next chain, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Stitch marker and mark stitch number 2 from the hook. 1, 2. Then continue with the side, so either 9 or 11 double crochets. I have 11 starting from the next chain. 1, 2, 3, and keep going until you get the number of double crochets that you need. Then you have your last corner into the next chain, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Get a stitch marker to the second stitch from the hook, and then we have the last the front panel right here. So either 1 double crochet and then you start your 14 herringbone half double crochets, or 3 double crochets and then the 14. So I have 3 starting from the next chain, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and 3 double crochets. After that, I start my 14 herringbone half double crochets into the next chain. So I'm going to yarn over into the next chain, pull it out, and again the first loop goes under the second loop and pull through. Now I'm gonna mark that last stitch that I would know that this is where my herringbone half double crochets end. So this is 1, and we should have 14 into the next chain. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 herringbone half double crochets, or just half double crochets if you feel that it's easier for you. Okay, so now we are finished with this. Have a good look if you need it. I'm gonna put this away for now. We don't need this once we have our first row established. Okay, and it should look a little bit like this. Now we're gonna start the second row, and this is where we're going to start the stitches. So the stitching, so we have the 14 here, they will always be the same into the back loop, and then we're gonna start the front and back post double crochets all the way around, and then again the last 14 are just the herringbone half double crochets into the back loop. Okay, so to start the next row, and this is always going to be the same, you're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we will be using only the back loop. Again, this is going to make the front here a little bit softer. If you're doing just half double crochets, it's the same, just into the back loop. I'm gonna yarn over, go into the back loop, pull it out. I'm gonna go under the second loop. It's a little bit difficult until you get started with this. So this is 1 herringbone half double crochet and then into the back loop. 2, 3, you can either count or you just keep going until you get to the stitch marker, the next one. So that the one that marks where our 14 herringbone half double crochets end. So just keep going. I'll see you right here. Okay, so I'm at the stitch marker that marks my last herringbone half double crochet into the back loop of that stitch. I make my last one, the number 14. I'm gonna move my stitch marker up into that stitch above. Now this is where our front and back post double crochet start. Okay, so now if you're doing the bigger size like me, you're gonna have 4 double crochets to work. If you're doing the smaller size, you're gonna have 2 double crochets to work until your stitch marker. So you always start after your herringbone half double crochets, you always start with a front post double crochet around the first double crochet. Okay, so front post double crochet. The next one is back post double crochet. Okay, so for the smaller sizes, this is all you're gonna have before the stitch marker. Like I said, I have a few more stitches, so I need to keep going with front post double crochet and then back post double crochet. So we will always be switching these two around. So front post, back post, front post, back post, all the way around. Okay, now where the stitch marker is, this is the double crochet, the middle one, and the stitch above it. We are not going to do any front or back post around this. Just into the stitch marker, exactly into the stitch where the stitch marker is, we're gonna make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're gonna move the stitch marker into the second stitch up here. 1, 2. And then we're going to start this part. Now, you want to start with the post stitch that you have finished before the free double crochet. So we're finished with the back post double crochet. So I start with a back post double crochet on this side, okay? So this is the next double crochet. We don't do anything into the double crochet where we have the corners. We look for the next one and we start with a back post double crochet, and the next one is front post, and then again back post, front post, and so on until you get to the stitch marker. Now I have 1 double crochet left before the stitch marker, and it is a back post double crochet. Okay, so started with a back post after the corner, and we finish with a back post before the stitch marker. Again, you can take it out, and into the stitch where the stitch marker was, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Stitch marker, back into the second stitch. 1, 2. Then you start the next part. Again, we start with a back post double crochet around the next double crochet. So this is used for the corner. This is the next one, and start with a back post double crochet. Then the front post, and again you just keep switching them around until you get to your next stitch marker. Again, you should finish with a back post in this row, and then 3 double crochets in the stitch with a marker. 1, 2, and 3. Take the stitch marker out, place it into the second stitch. 1, 2, and start the next part with a back post double crochet around the next double crochet. back post, front post, and again keep going until you get to the next stitch marker. Okay, my last corner, I'm going to take this out, 3 double crochets, stitch marker into the second stitch, and now after the corner we start with a back post double crochet and then a front post double crochet. Now for the smaller sizes you will be running out of stitches right here because you only have 2 right here. I have 4, so I will keep going with another back post double crochet and a front post. The front post will always be your last stitch before you start your finishing herringbone half double crochets. And I have a stitch marker right here that marks my first herringbone half double crochet. That makes it easy for me to notice. I'm going to take that out, and into the back loop of that stitch I'm going to start my herringbone half double crochets. I'm going to put the stitch marker back into that stitch so I know that this is where it ends, or you can just count if that makes it easier for you. You should always have 14 of them. And then continue on until you finish Now in the second row, your very last herringbone half double crochet will be, on the top of the chain 2. So we had a chain 2 right here. Now you're gonna yarn over, go into that chain 2 and make your very last herringbone half double crochet, just like that. And you can always count. You should have 14 of them. Okay, now we're gonna start the next row. We're gonna chain 1 and turn and start from the very first stitch. So skip the chain 1 into the back loop, start with your herringbone half double crochets. So keep going until you get to your first stitch marker that marks the end of this front panel. Okay, so I'm gonna see you right here. Okay, I'm at the stitch that marks the last of my herringbone half double crochets. I make my last one right here. I'll move the stitch marker to the stitch above. And now we start our pattern with front post and back post double crochets. Now remember, you always start after those 14 herringbone half double crochets with a front post. Or, in other words, you will always be making the opposite stitch that you have. So this is actually looks like a back post double crochet right now. So you make a front post there. So you're gonna catch that double crochet and make a front post double crochet. Now this looks like it was a front post because it's sticking out face to you. So you make a back post double crochet around that. You always make the opposite. And then again a front post, and then a back post, and then you have one more stitch. This time we're gonna have an extra one because we keep increasing in these corners, so you're always gonna have an extra stitch. So this time we finish with a front post double crochet before the stitch marker. Okay, always make the opposite, and the ones we're gonna bring into work are right before the stitch marker. Now stitch marker, we make 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Mark your stitch number 2. and then we're gonna start the next part. Now again, remember which, was it the front post before the 3 double crochets or the back post? So this time it's a front post. So this is what you start on the other side of the 3 double crochets. So make sure that you don't use the middle double crochet that you have the corners in. Find the next one, and you start with a front post this time, and then a back post. Like I said, you always make the opposite of what you see. So it looks like it's a back post, this one, and make a front post around it. And this is how you make that weave look. Okay, so keep going, switching them around. It might look a little bit difficult in the beginning, but once you get used to it, it's really, really easy, that stitch. Okay, so this is back post. Now the next stitch is just a double crochet from the previous row of increasing, and we finish with a front post this time. Okay, and then 3 double crochets into the marked stitch. 1, 2, and 3. We mark stitch number 2 from the hook. And we continue again after the 3 double crochets. In this row, you start with a front post double crochet. And then back post. So keep going. I will see you at the last corner right here. So remember, you're always making the opposite of what you see. If you see a front post, you make a back post around it. If you see a back post, you make a front post around it. Now, in this row, before the stitch marker, you finish with a front post, and then you start with a front post after the 3 double crochets, okay? So it will be changing. The last stitch before the stitch marker and the first after that will be changing each row as we add stitches. So the row before that, we were finishing with a back post double crochet. In this row, it will be front and then back and front before and after the stitch marker. So this is the important thing to remember. So keep going. I'm gonna see you right here. Okay, so I'm at my last corner. I'm gonna take that out, make 3 double crochets into that stitch. Mark stitch number 2, 1, 2, and now we're gonna do this part. Okay, so again, you start with a front post double crochet, and then keep going until you hit that stitch marker. So back post, and you should always finish with a front post double crochet before the herringbone half double crochet start. Okay, and then it's the herringbone half double crochets. I'm going to take this out into the back loop, 14 of them. I'm going to put the stitch marker back in. So keep going, finish the so finish. I'm going to see you at the last herringbone half double crochet right here. Okay, okay, so here we are. I have 1 stitch left. Now the last stitch of the herringbone half double crochets, you don't want to do that into the back loop. You want to go through both loops into that last stitch. It's just so that the edges are not too stretchy, so they don't stretch out. So you go into the full stitch, just the last one, to make like this. So it's nice and kind of not too soft at the edges. Okay, now to start the next row, again, you're gonna chain 1 and turn. I'm just gonna show you one more because it will be repeating itself from now on. And I'm gonna skip that chain 1 into the back loop of the first stitch, the first herringbone half double crochet, and keep going until you have 14 of them, or once you hit the first stitch marker. Okay, so I finished my 14. I'm gonna take my stitch marker out. I don't need it anymore because for me it's easy now to see where the front post double crochet should be. If you find it still difficult, you can keep marking that last stitch for as long as you want. I don't want it anymore, so I'm gonna leave it out. So starting with the next stitch, again you always start with a front post double crochet, and then a back post, and you just keep going, switching these two stitches around, and in other words, you're always making the opposite of what you see all the way until you hit that stitch marker. And again, in this row, your last before the stitch marker is a back post double crochet, then it's a stitch marker, you put in 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna mark stitch number 2. You want to definitely keep the stitch markers for the corners right here, and then again after that you start with the same stitch that you have finished before the 3 double crochets. Okay, so I finished with a back post, so I start with a back post the next segment of the little coat, and again after a back post, front post, and just keep going, switching them around. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. Now you always switch around those 2 stitches, you always increase in the stitch markers, you're always gonna have 3 double crochets here, and you always start and finish with 14 herringbone half double crochets. Now you want to keep repeating this until you have finished 6 rows, because in row number 7, you can do it a little bit lower if you want, we're gonna have our first buttonholes. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. I want to do 2 more rows. So once I have 6 rows, I'm gonna do my first buttonholes. So keep going. It's all the same, like I said, just make sure that you remember what was the last stitch before the 3 double crochets, so you can start with the same one after that. Okay, and it's everywhere, it's gonna be the same everywhere at the corners. And remember, you always start with a front post double crochet, the first one after the herringbone, and you will always finish with a front post as well. Okay, so keep going. I will see you after I have 6 rows finished. Okay, so I have finished 6 rows, and in the next row I want to make my first 2 buttonholes. Now first of all, you want to choose the side that you want to be on the outside of the cardigan. Now they look pretty much the same. The only real difference is the corners right here. Okay, so on one side you have these front post double crochets that kind of make this line. On the other side, it's much more flat. Other than that, there's no difference, whatever you prefer. So I prefer this side, it looks a little bit nicer to me. So I'm gonna turn this around like this. Okay, so you want to have your 2 fronts like this. Now for boys, the buttonholes are usually on your left side. It doesn't really make a difference which side you do it on. It's exactly the same. Okay, so for boys it's on the left side, for girls it's usually on the right side. The only difference is that here you will be making it in the beginning of the row, here you will be making at the end of the row. Really doesn't matter. Now if you have 2 extra stitch markers somewhere, I'll take these, you're gonna mark the places where our buttonholes are going to be. I'm gonna take this out for a second. Now you want to count the 4th stitch from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is where my first buttonhole is going to be. The 4th from the edge, and then the 3rd from the back. Okay, so this is already my first stitch with the front post double crochets. So in the herringbone half double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. So 3rd last, the 4th from the beginning, or the 3rd last. Now if you're doing it on this side, You can get the 2 stitch markers. I only have one. I have 2. This is just for an example. I don't need buttonholes on both sides. This is just for example. From this side, okay, so it's the 3rd stitch, 1, 2, and 3. From the edge, it's stitch number 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So all you're going to do, you're not gonna make a herringbone half double crochet. You're going to make 1 chain above those stitches that have the stitch markers in. Okay, I'll leave that here for a second. I'll start with this side. So I'm making a boy's jacket. So you're gonna chain 1 and turn. You're gonna start as usual with a herringbone half double crochet, and you will keep going into the back loop until you hit that stitch marker. Okay, now instead of making a stitch in there, you're going to chain 1, you're going to skip that stitch and into the back loop of the next stitch, your next herringbone half double crochet, and here you go, you have a buttonhole. And then you keep going with those half double crochets, and obviously if you have the buttonholes on the other side of your jacket, just don't do any skipping on this side. Again, I have the stitch marker right here. I'm gonna chain 1, skip that stitch into the next one, and 1 more. Okay, so you should have 2 herringbone half double crochets before you start your first stitch. So you have 1, 2, 3 here and a buttonhole, and then you have a buttonhole and 1, 2 right here. You can switch them around if you feel the need to it. I just want to have a nice space in between, and this seems to work quite fine for me, but you can actually do it wherever you want it. Okay, and then you just start your pattern as normal with a front post double crochet, back post, and so on. Now keep going, and I will actually see you on the other side, just in case. I will show how to do the buttonholes on this side, but it's exactly the same. Okay, and so on the other side, like I have said, it's exactly the same. I've actually marked the wrong stitch right here, 3rd stitch. Okay, so again, herringbone, herringbone, chain 1, skip that stitch, and keep going. Now I don't really need buttonholes on this side. I just want to finish it and show you what to do with those chain 1s. Again, chain 1, I'm gonna skip that and finish with 1, 2, and the 3rd one into the full stitch, not just the back stitch, the back loop. Okay, I'm gonna chain 1 and turn, and as usual into the back loop, 1, 2, and 3. Now once you get to that chain 1 right here, you want to make a herringbone half double crochet right under that chain 1, not into the back loop, but a solid one like this, and then continue with the back loops. Okay, just that one, just to make it nice and a little bit tighter around the buttonhole. And then you continue, and again where the chain 1 is, you go under it and make a herringbone half double crochet right in there. Okay, so I need to fix that because I actually have my buttonholes on the other side. But approximately at this point, we can start measuring the yoke. Okay, so this is where our chart comes in. Yoke, right here. Okay, so we need the distance from top to bottom of this stitch marker, or technically any of the corner stitch markers, to be approximately this length. Okay, so 0 to 3 months it's 10.5 centimeters, 3 to 6 months 11, 6 to 9 months, this is the size that I'm making, approximately 11.5 centimeters, and 9 to 12 months 12 centimeters. Now when you measure that, so I need 11.5, you measure it up like this, and I am at 9.5 centimeters. I need this to be 11.5, so I will keep going until I hit that length. It can be over that, it is no problem at all. We will fix all the other measurements after that, but you want that yoke to reach the length that it has to be, okay? Because it's a little bit thicker than usual cardigans, the stitches make it a little bit thicker, you definitely want to hit that length. Now, if at this point you have already reached the length that it needs to be, you stop now and you can see how we will connect it. I still need another, I would say probably one more row, maybe even 2 more rows before I hit that 11.5 centimeters. So keep going until you reach this length. Okay, so at this point I am ready to connect. This measures about 12 centimeters, so I'm a half centimeter over the length that I need it to be. Absolutely fine. No problem at all. As long as you reach the measurement, it can be over, no problem. Okay, so once you have that, we are now going to connect. First of all, we need to figure out how many chains we need under each armhole. And this is where we are going to measure the back of our little coat. Okay, so in between the two, or stitch marker to stitch marker. Make sure at the back right here. And we need this to be this length, okay? So for 6 to 9 months, it's 26 centimeters for me, okay? 24, 25, 26, or 27. So I need this to be 26 centimeters. When I measure stitch marker to stitch marker, I am at 24. I need this to be 26. So I will just, that missing length, those 2 centimeters, I will just add chains underneath each armhole to make up for that missing length. Now, how to figure out how many chains you need, okay? So it might be different lengths that you are missing, okay? So I know I'm missing 2 centimeters, and I'm going to measure out right here how many stitches fit into the 2 centimeters that I'm missing. So I start with this front post double crochet, and I look, there's another one, so it's 3 stitches. So front post, back post, and front post. 3 stitches will cover the missing length of 2 centimeters. Okay, now we need to the number of chains underneath each armhole to be an odd number. Okay, so let's say if you are missing 3 centimeters, so 4 stitches would pretty much cover 3 centimeters, but 4 stitches is an even number. We need an odd one, so I'd rather just make 5 chains instead of 4. Okay, or you need at least 1 chain, so 1, 3, or 5, whatever number will cover the missing length. Okay, so 2, 3, or 4, whatever. So 1, 3, or 5 chains. I'm missing 2 centimeters, 3 chains will cover that missing length. Okay, so one more thing to look out for, you don't want to forget to make more buttonholes, and you want the to have about 5 or 6 rows in between the buttonholes. So I have 1, 2 rows, 3, 4, 5, perhaps maybe even 6. Okay, just keep an eye on that so you don't forget. You might be closer than me. Okay, so get yourself to the first stitch marker right here using your normal pattern 14, and then whatever you need to do here. Okay, so I came all the way, I have used up all the stitches until my first stitch marker. Okay, it doesn't matter what is the last stitch, you just need to use them all. Then where the stitch marker is, I'm going to put in single crochet, and then the number of chains that we measured out. So I need 3 chains, and I'm gonna make them loose. 1, 2, and 3. Then you're gonna skip all that. This is going to be a sleeve. Find your next stitch marker and single crochet in there. Okay, so like I said, 1 chain, 3 or 5. Okay, and then you want to continue with the pattern. I'm just going to look what I had before the single crochet. It was a back post double crochet, so I start with a back post, after that single crochet and normal pattern. So this is the back that we are on right now, so keep going with the pattern until you get to the other stitch marker. Okay, so crochet the back. Now again, where the stitch marker is single crochet. Make the same amount of chains as you did on the other side. So I have 3, 1, 2, and 3. Skip all that. Single crochet into the stitch marker on the other side, and then start with whatever you finished before the single crochet. I had a back post, so back post, front post, and so on. We will start and finish exactly the same as we have done before. We just don't have corners anymore. It's going to be straight stitches all the way around. We don't need to do these anymore. Okay, so finish this row, start the next one, and I will see you right here where the chains are. Okay, so again, make sure that you see that you keep an eye on your buttonholes when you have to make them. Okay, so I have used up all my double crochets for the pattern right here. Now the next stitch is a single crochet, and then I have my chains. So all we're going to do, we're going to make 1 double crochet into each stitch. So single crochet gets a double crochet, each chain gets a double crochet, and the single crochet after that. Okay, so double crochet, and then 1 double crochet into each chains, however many you have. I have 3, so I have 3 double crochets, and then single crochet after that gets a double crochet as well. So you should have an odd number of double crochets right here. Then I start back onto my pattern, and it's a back post double crochet that I start with. Again, you can see what you finished right here with, and it's the same, you start with it after that. And then it's a front post, and so on. So you're gonna do exactly the same thing right here. Okay, once you run out of double crochets, just for the post stitches, we just double crochet into here everywhere. Then finish your row as normal, and I will meet you back here, and we're gonna see what we do with these double crochets. Okay, so here we are. I have 2 more stitches, so it's a front post and a back post, and then this is where my double crochets start. Okay, so what you want to do here, you just want to continue on with your normal pattern. So I had a back post double crochet. I'm gonna go around the one around the next one, make a front post, back post, front post, back post, front post, and then you continue on, and it should be, excuse me, a perfect match. So at back post, you're back into the pattern with already established stitches. It's just the ones that didn't have any front post or back post had to be put into the same pattern. Okay, and then you just continue on, and it should be a perfect thing on the other side as well. Now finish this row, and in the next row we're gonna do a little bit of increasing right here at the under the arms. Plus I have to make, so once I finish this row, I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and I want to do my second row of buttonholes. Okay, now here we are. So we have 2 rows underneath our armholes, and this is where we want to do our increasing. But in this row, again, I need to do my buttonholes. So I'm gonna move these out. And again, make sure that you're making them on the same side as the previous ones. And I have 1, 2, 3, number 4 from the edge, and 1, 2, 3 from the side with the pattern. If you have them on the other side, again, you're gonna have 1, 2 on the 3, and 1, 2, 3 on the 4th last. Okay, just make sure that you have them on the same side. So I'm not going to show you how I do that again, my buttonholes. I'm just going to meet you under the first armhole right here to do the increase. Okay, so to do the increase, you want to get yourself approximately to underneath the armhole. It doesn't have to be exact, okay? So you just want to be under this space right here. Now, you want to make a back post double crochet whenever time comes. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit closer to this side or this side, it doesn't matter. So after you make the back post double crochet, you're going to actually use the stitch from the previous double crochet and make 2 double crochets in there. So we're kind of putting 2 extra stitches under the armhole. And then the next stitch we do as normal, so it's a front post double crochet, and then a back post, and keep going with the pattern. So you see you just have 2 extra stitches, and do exactly the same under the next armhole, and I will see you back here. Okay, so I'm getting closer to those extra stitches that I have made here. So I have 2 extra under one armhole and 2 extra on the under the other one. Okay, so use the pattern as long as you can until you get to those extra double crochets, which are right here, and then you just continue on. So I had a front post, I'll do a back post, front post, we bring them into the pattern, those 2 extra stitches, and then you continue on as normal with back post and front post. We just added 2 more stitches just to give it a little bit nicer shape, and then you continue on, and you're gonna do exactly the same right here. You're gonna bring in those 2 stitches into the pattern. So there's gonna be a front post, back post, front post, back post, and it's just going to add a little bit of width here. Okay, so this is where I'm going to finish part 1. This is how it looks at the moment. Okay, so I will see you in part 2, and what we need is we want to have the length done. Okay, now let's talk about the length. First of all, you are going to get the measuring tape, and we're going to remeasure the yoke right here. Okay, so you see where this ends, we want to measure that again, and I am at approximately 13 centimeters. So it's stretched, we added single crochets, it stretched a little bit. Okay, so 13. It was meant to be 11.5, so I'm 1.5 centimeters longer than it really should be. Okay, I'm just gonna write that down. 1.5 centimeters over. Okay, so 1.5. I will need this for the sleeves as well. Now, if you are over, we are going to adjust the length of the coat. If you are not over and you're perfect, just stick to the numbers on the chart right here. Okay, now let's see. So the length is right there, right here, approximately 17, 18 centimeters, 18, 19, 20, 21, 21, 22. Now, when we measure the length of this coat, we want to measure from the armhole. Okay, so from this place right here, the length. And I'm at 4 centimeters now. Now, for the size that I'm making, it's approximately 21 centimeters in length. Okay, so I'm approximately 16 centimeters short, so it should be like this. But because I am 1.5 centimeters over, okay, so it should be right here. Okay, I'm gonna take that 1.5 centimeters from the length, okay, because I am a little bit longer here and the length should start a little bit higher up. So instead of 20 centimeters from right here, I'm gonna minus the 1.5. Let's say 1 centimeter, doesn't matter. A little, so approximately 19 centimeters to the length. It can be a little bit longer, okay? So I will keep going until I am right here, okay? I should be here, but I'm a little bit longer than I need to be, so I'm gonna take 1 centimeter off that, okay? So keep going. I will see you in part 2 when you have this length done. For now, just continue on. You keep the 14 herringbone half double crochets and then the pattern all the way around, and you finish with 14 herringbone half double crochets. Okay, just keep that pattern going and we will continue in part 2. Thank you for watching and bye for now.